Hello, I'm Professor Mark Bryans. I hold the rank of 7th degree black belt in the American Combato System, jen-do-tao, Brad Steiner's system. To learn more about the system, go to seattlecombatives.com and click on the link for the American Combato System, and they'll give you a full explanation of what we do and what the system's all about. We're a self-defense system. We're not for sport. We're not for competition, simply for self-protection. The things that we teach would only be usable in unavoidable, unprovoked situations of self-defense. Everything about self-defense training and sport training, most of the things anyways, are different. Nothing wrong with sport training, as some of the finest fighters in the world come out of the sport arena, but it's probably not the best way to go for combat purposes, and I'll explain more about that later. But I want to be sure that I have a tremendous respect for those competitive fighters and what they do. But in the real world self-defense, you want to use things like eye gouging and biting and testicle grabbing. And there's a whole different way that that's trained. The techniques are different, and the psychology is different, and the tactics are different as well. So let's start with how we handle the approach of an individual. We're out in the real world, we're interacting, and if somebody is going to approach you to harm you, he may not warn you. He may approach with a smile, and you're just not sure. You got to be certain that a stranger is a stranger, and if somebody's approaching you and you don't know who he is or why he's approaching you, there ought to at least be a low level of caution. So we use the color codes utilized by Jeff Cooper, developed by Jeff Cooper. We modify them slightly, but those color codes, white, yellow, orange, and red. Condition yellow, mental condition yellow, is just that state of awareness in your mind where you're alert to your surroundings, you know what's going on, but everything is fine. So in mental condition yellow, you're quite aware of the approach of somebody, and that's very important as well. You don't want to be taken by surprise. You don't want to get jumped. You want to see the approach of the individual. And I acknowledge that the approach of about everybody is going to be harmless, but you just don't know. So in mental condition yellow, I'm going to recommend you go to the relaxed ready position, which I'm about to teach you. This is going to be a way that you can stand with somebody and not give away that you're in a stance, because in a sense you're not in a stance, and in a sense you are. It's an everyday position that you could assume with the attacker. So we want to be aware of them, so we turn on the color codes when we head out. We're in mental condition yellow, relaxed and alert. When he approaches, you're going to drop into this relaxed ready position. So the first thing you want to do on the approach of this individual is blade your body off at an angle. The rear foot is to the front of the rear shoulder. Another way I look at this is if I take a line straight down the center of this guy, I'm going to split it somewhat. I'm not going to stand straight on it. I'm not going to have good balance with him, and plus this just isn't natural as I face this guy and I'm interacting with him. Now whether I'm in mental condition orange, which is where I think he's going to attack me, that's the next level up from yellow, or he could. I'm perceiving a potential threat here. So whether I'm in yellow or orange, I don't want him to know that I'm prepared. That's just a change that happens in your mind. So I don't want to stand like this. It's not natural. I don't want to stand like this. I'm way too vulnerable. In both of these positions, as I shift 90 degrees, I'm not in good balance with him in either position. And in this front position, I've exposed the center line to him, and I don't want to do that. So we're just going to blade off a bit. So if there was a line down the center of it, my right foot is on the right side of it, and my left is on the left side of it. There's room here to work with. It's not exacting, but my left foot is to the left, my right foot is to the right, and of course I have a front foot and a back foot. And in self-defense, you have to be ambidextrous. So you want to learn your techniques on a left side lead and a right side lead. We're starting to establish the relaxed ready position. We're dealing with the approach of an unknown individual. And at this point, he has not been aggressive. There's nothing aggressive about him, but we don't know him, and we don't really know why he's approaching us, so we're going to be cautious. We've bladed ourselves off at this angle. The next thing we want to do is bring our hands up. I'm going to do it with you right now, the camera. I'm angled off, my hands are up. Now how you have your hands up is up to you. I'm in a right side leading relaxed ready with him right now. And by the way, I'm too close to him, but we'll get to that. And as I look at you now, I've just shifted to a left side leading relaxed ready. Anything that has my hands up in this area here is going to be good as long as they don't look aggressive and ready to go and don't tie them up. It's a huge difference between your hands being here and having to react to something versus your hands being up here. And this is something you have to learn. It's not natural. Somebody walks up, do not stick your hands in your pockets or anything like this. The stranger has approached us, we're angled off, we get our hands up and they're ready to assist us, as we'll see in a while. Another thing about the relaxed ready position, if at all possible, I want to keep him out of arm's reach. Now here's something a lot of martial artists just don't want to get. And that's the fact that if this guy's within arm's reach of me and he's skilled and he hits first, he'll hit me. He'll hit you too. I don't care how good you are. Action's faster than reaction. And again, I made an assumption that he was skillful. And if he's skillful, and I'm going to assume that he is, I want him out of arm's reach from me. I want him in a position where he's going to have to step at me to strike me. This isn't going to protect me per se, it's going to give me reaction time. I'm going to see him move. There's no way he can instantly move. Even if he throws a skillful punch, he's going to have to step to do it. And as he moves in, that'll give you that fraction of a second you need to react and attack the attacker. Right now, we're just dealing with the approach of the individual. He hasn't threatened or anything. We're just not sure why he's approached. And in the relaxed ready position, it's just an everyday position that I could talk with him and have a discussion with him. If he were to move around me, I would simply adjust with him. So if he moved to my left, so he moved in a counterclockwise way, I would pivot off the lead foot and just simply adjust with him as he moved around. And if he went clockwise, I would just simply rotate clockwise. But notice my lead foot is the pivot point, keeping my balance with him. Never cross your feet and don't face him head on. We want to keep our balance. And when I say never, there'll be exceptions to that, but you understand. Don't get your feet crossed up. Keep your balance with him. Keep him out of range. Keep your eyes on him. Don't take your eyes off the individual. This is sometimes the setup he's looking for. He says something to you and asks you about something over here, and you turn around and look, and that's when he's going to hit you. So keep your eyes on him. If we have to look back here, we can do it, but we'll cover that another time, how I'm going to maneuver around him. But I'm sure not going to take my eyes off him, especially if he's trying to make me take my eyes off him. That'd probably bring me to orange. And remember, orange is now high alert. I'm anticipating his attack. We're going to talk about that more in another video. Right now, I've just had the approach of an individual, and we're learning how to handle it. We don't want to square off with him and get in a fighting stance. First off, if he's not aggressive, why would I do that? It would look ridiculous. And even if he got aggressive, I don't want him to know I'm prepared to defend myself. So we're bladed off and relaxed, ready. Our eyes are on him. Your eye placement should be up in this area here if you've got the proper distancing with him out of reach. And that way my peripheral vision will take in his whole body, because it's his hands you really want awareness on. So you don't have to look directly down at his hands if you have them properly distanced. Now the only time I would take my gaze and put it down here is if he gets too close to me and I can't establish distance with him anymore, and I don't feel justified in hitting him yet. And it's at that awkward stage where he's crowded me and he's kind of right on top of me. Then I'm going to drop my gaze down a bit so I can see his hands. And clearly this is an unusual situation. I've had some teachers I highly respect that tell me, you know, you should look at his chest all the time. And I think they're always thinking in terms of when he becomes a threat. Obviously, if I'm talking with somebody in mental condition yellow and I'm looking at their chest the whole time, that could be an issue. It'd be odd to look at him there. So we'll keep our gaze up here. It's more natural. And if he's at the proper distance, we can see everything we need to see. It's only when he's crowded us and we can't get back from him that we're going to drop our gaze. And another thing, when he's crowded me, I definitely want my hands up in front of my face at this point. I want my hands at least as high as his, or I should say as high as his, until my hands get to my face. Because if he's a lot taller than me and his hands are up here, I don't feel like I need them up here. I just need them in front of my face. This is not a good position to be in, and we'd like to reestablish distance in just the way I did it. Back foot first, and then the front foot would follow it. And if I need to step again, just take another step at that point. We're not going to take a formal stance with him, the relaxed ready position. We're going to angle off, and when he approaches, we're going to keep our eyes on him, and we're going to deal with him appropriately.